Good evening. How's everybody doing out there? In I guess the sports world. We'll just say the sports world for now. Daytona 500 wrapped up a couple minutes, probably a half hour ago now. William Byron took home the victory
Really?
off of a caution. Um,
Huh.
yeah,
I would
That
have
was
thought it would have been one
Alex
of the
Bowman's
usual
fault.
suspects.
yeah, yeah,
Hamlin or, I'm so out far of the loop in NASCAR, but I really was thinking it was going to be one of the usual suspects.
yeah. It was out of it was a caution basically. I mean, it's the Daytona 500. Somebody crashes big at the end, and it happened.
I saw the
And
crash. The crash looked pretty gnarly. I saw that on Twitter.
yeah, yeah.
I think it's the first time too. A Hendricks Motorsports went 1-2 at Daytona as well.
It's been a while since a Hendricks Motorsport guy won the Daytona 500 too, I believe.
Yeah, I think the last one was he with Hendrick though. Dale Earnhardt when he won it. I think it was 2016 or 2014. I think he was there in 2014. I think he
I
was
don't
with
remember off the top of my head.
Hendricks on that one.
Yeah, I don't know shit. I don't know shit about NASCAR.
Right. No, this is we're not talking NASCAR. This is the 5-hole. We welcome you. We got Aaron, Jerry, and we're gonna bring to the stage now Jared also. Jared, thanks for hopping on as well. This is the 5-hole right here on the Variety Sports Network, and we're gonna get things started off with a little bit of fun, I guess you could say. First off, what are you, Aaron, Jerry, thoughts on the Stadium Series and how you felt about it for the New York Rangers?
I'll give you the Cliff Notes version because if you're gonna want the full Islanders can go shove it, whatever fanboy rant, you're gonna have to tune into Blue Shirts Banter on Thursday night. But long story short, fantastic game. They thought they had us in the first half. Not gonna lie, I thought they had us in the first half. Comeback for the ages. I said this morning to my buddy who was at the game, I think that might have been the second best outdoor game I've ever watched, right behind the very first Winter Classic, Buffalo-Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
I think that will forever be the best outdoor game that the NHL has ever put on. But yeah, I mean, it was funny. We went down, man, and I texted in the Blue Shirts Banter group chat. I said, they're going to blow it in the third. We know how this is going to end. They're going to blow it in the third. I wasn't even worried. Everyone was jumping down Igor's throat. Everyone was saying, bench him, throw in quick. No, calm down, play some fucking defense because that was non-existent. But again, we'll get into that on Blue Shirts Banter. We'll keep it short. And yeah, the Islanders beat the Islanders. That's not true. The Rangers put on a spectacle towards the end with a lot of, the power play finally woke up. Thank God. It's been dormant for God knows how long. So what a win. What a game. Happy to be there.
Yeah, before that, we were 1 for 21, I think, on the power play. So the fact that we got back-to-back power play goals is amazing. I think Kreider has 11 tip-in goals against the Islanders. I think it's most all time. And we're 5-0 outdoors. So I think we should just play the rest of our games outdoors, and we'll go undefeated.
Yeah, that was the funny thing about that was like, because I was watching the start of it, and they were like, yeah, the Rangers are 4-0-1 in outdoor games. Alain Vigneault is 0-3-1. It's like, somebody's either going to lose today for the first time.
It wasn't the New York Rangers, baby. I'll take the New York Rangers outside any day of the week. Any day of the week.
And Alain finally got his first outdoor game win. So
funny enough, I believe I could be wrong about this, but we beat them. We beat them. We beat him when we beat the Flyers in the first time we played in the Winter Classic. I believe he was the head coach of the Flyers that year.
Yeah, it was kind of it was one of those stats where like, okay, like that's just kind of neat. Jared, your Carolina Hurricanes are handling the Chicago Blackhawks fairly well right now.
Yeah, sorry, I've been watching the game all night, but yeah, it's 5-1. Birdsey just had a slap shot goal going. I mean, these are the games that you're supposed to win, right? Like the Canes are coming off a long road trip. Won back-to-back nights at Arizona, and then following up at Vegas the very next night against the defending Cup champs. And then, yeah, I mean, this team who, I mean, early on in the season, I was calling for a lot of heads to roll. Number one being general manager Don Waddell, but they've seemed to figure it out on defense. The goalie situation's not great. I mean, you got 4 goalies, 2 of them are hurt. One's a waiver wire pickup, and then one's just this maniac in Pyotr Kochetkov.
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, talking about the outdoor games, I was fortunate enough last year to go to the Stadium Series game here in Raleigh.
Oh, hell yeah.
And
Nice.
I mean, it was an absolute blast. I see people saying like, "Oh, we should do away with the outdoor games." And I know we're going to talk about it later in the show, but I will say like the outdoor game's not really for like the people watching at home. If you're complaining about there being an outdoor game,
Yeah,
you need to go experience it, go tailgate it, have drinks with the boys, and then go to the game. Like it's an absolute blast.
The only thing
And-
I will say is that I think they should scale it back to just one. Just do the Winter Classic and let that be that. There's no reason to have 5 a year.
I saw something that, and I would agree with this, and I agree that there's so many. I mean, I think we're up to what, 4 now. What I would do is do like the NBA does on Christmas Day. Do what the NHL or the NFL does on Thanksgiving. You pick one day, and I'm not saying it needs to be New Year's because we all know college football is kind of taking over New Year's.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a different day. Maybe it's President's Day weekend, MLK Day weekend, right? You pick one weekend and you have 4 or 5 of these events, and they're massive. And you take over the whole thing. It's NBA this past weekend, NBA All-Star weekend, right?
which was awful.
Yeah,
The
no one cares
NFL
about that.
The NFL's not playing. Market your brand, get people to watch during and just show all day,
Yeah.
right? All day outdoor games. I think, I mean, the only game Friday night was Carolina Hurricanes at Arizona in Mullet Arena with 5,000 people at the game. Like, how is that the only game on a Friday night?
Yeah.
So
No other league is on TV. The NBA wasn't on. No
Exactly.
NFL, no MLB, and you have one NHL game that night. Yeah.
How do you guys feel about those Tuesdays where it's like everyone plays on the Tuesday? I know they tried doing that in the beginning of the season.
I don't hate it. I get why they're doing it, but I feel like you should have every team playing, even if it's not every team playing on Saturday. I think you should have multiple teams doing back-to-backs on Saturday, Sunday, especially when the NFL is not playing. And I think most teams should be playing on Saturday night.
The only thing that's killing the NHL here, though, is that it lacks national broadcast coverage. And, like, if you watch like the stadium, these past two, both Saturday and Sunday were both on ABC, and I'm sure I don't know what the viewership numbers ended up being, but I'm sure they're astronomical. But if you go back to the NBC on the NHL on NBC days, I feel like every Saturday and Sunday, sometimes doubling up on weekends, there was always a 1 o'clock game, a 3 o'clock game on national television, which really, in my opinion, helped boost. Granted, it's what I feel like the NHL wasn't nearly as popular back then as it is now, but with ESPN, you know, the worldwide leader of sports having the rights or sharing the rights, with Turner for the NHL broadcasting, and them just not, it doesn't even have to be on ABC. Put it on ESPN. You have ESPN, you have ABC. Like, I feel like last year there was so many games on ESPN throughout the week. Not so many, like 2 or 3 throughout the week steadily, like Wednesday night hockey or whatever. And this year, I feel like that's just not the case, and it's not widely available. Sure, you have ESPN Plus, where, like, you know, you can watch any out of market game, and that's awesome. That's so great. But
I can't watch the Blues though.
Yeah, you can't watch I can't watch the Rangers either. I can't watch the Rangers, the Islanders, the Devils, or the Bruins, because you can't watch your in market because of the BS, you know, RSNs and all that stuff. But utilize the national broadcast that you have. Just throw the NHL on. I guarantee you, people will watch, especially during, you know, a weekend where there's no NBA. I get it. NBC and ESPN are very intertwined with the NBA. But like today, correct me if I'm wrong, but none of these games were on ABC, right? I didn't watch hockey today, but I don't believe any of these games are on ABC.
The Blues Maple Leafs game was on ESPN.
All right, well, that's a step in the right direction, but put something on ABC. What's running on ABC at 3 o'clock in the afternoon?
Right.
The Price is Right? No.
And I mean, we're talking about today is a holiday for many people in the United States, and also in Canada, right?
Oh, is Canada, it? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, my company is headquartered in Canada. I didn't realize it. they were. I was talking to somebody that's in Canada, and I was like, "Oh, have fun working Monday," and they're like, "Oh no, we get off. They call it Family Day."
Oh, nice.
So
we need more of those in the United States.
Well, they do it. They do it to match up
Right.
with the
Makes
United
sense.
States.
Yeah,
You know,
makes
because
sense.
we're the primary country, right?
We're the only one that matters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just lost every listener we have in Canada.
I don't know. It's fine. They're still here. We're good. We're bouncing around a little bit. When it comes to like the standings and stuff, we'll talk about the standings update, and I'm gonna try to fix that so it's not covering Jared's face so much. The Dallas Stars, 4-point lead in the Central over the Colorado Avalanche. I watched them play. Who did they play the other night? I watched them play. Gosh, I don't even remember now. Edmonton. Edmonton. That ended up being a really, really, really good game. It was what day was it? It was Saturday. It was Saturday because there was a game before that went to overtime. I think it was Boston and who was the team that Boston played? LA.
Yeah,
Boston and LA, and then it went Dallas, Edmonton, and then we had New Jersey, Philadelphia Saturday. It was like we would talk about the 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 7 o'clock kind of games. Dallas played really. They played okay. They weren't great, but they weren't awful at the same time. Colorado still sitting in second, 72 points. Winnipeg slowly falling off a little bit. Kind of said this last week that there's going to be one of those Central teams that's going to fall out of the top three, and he wouldn't be surprised if it's Winnipeg. Not playing the greatest right now. Blues had 2 back-to-back really bad losses to Nashville and Toronto today. What's your thoughts on the Central Division right now in the West?
I still think Dallas might take this, even though Colorado, I think they won the other day or today.
Dallas is struggling with injuries, I feel like. So I think that's going to hurt them, and I think that's going to allow the Avs to. They are, but I think that's going to not that because the Avalanche definitely have a slew of injuries of their own. But I feel like when it comes to depth, the Avalanche definitely have them edged out there. I think that, and then not to mention the experience, because a lot of that Colorado team is a lot in the same that was has made several deep runs, whereas that Dallas team. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but that Dallas team is far gone. The Dallas team that made that push a couple of years ago and lost in the finals. I could be wrong about that, but I believe that's the case.
I would say they're similar.
Yeah.
They're still pretty. They still have a good core group. Who went to the Western Conference Final, and then I think they even went to the Stanley Cup Final.
They lost in the Stanley Cup Finals. To the Lightning.
But I mean, they were just in the Western Conference Final last year against Vegas.
True.
So true. It's could be an interesting division to finish out the season. In the Pacific, the Vancouver Canucks have a 10-point lead over the Vegas Golden Knights in a game that we'll talk about it in just a little bit. In a game that Vancouver probably should have won today against Minnesota, ended up giving it away. That allowed Minnesota to score 7 goals in the third period. It's kind of nuts. Any quick thoughts on the Pacific?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'll say the Western Conference as a whole is, and maybe this is just my East Coast bias, but the Western Conference as a whole, you feel like you've got 3 teams that are going to come out of the Western Conference, but once you start going down the list, you're like, I don't really see a cup contender here. Vancouver, I think Vancouver's the real deal. Bringing in Lindholm at the All-Star break, I do. I think Vancouver is the best team in the Western Conference coming out, and they're the best they've been since 2012. So I do think that what they have is real. Do I think that they're going to win the Stanley Cup? I don't know, but if you put a gun to my head and said pick a team from the Western Conference right now, I'm picking Vancouver.
Okay.
I just think they fizzle out. That's it. I'm not saying they're not the real deal. I do agree with you there. We talked about this last week. I just think they're so young and they need to get kind of the calluses under their fingernails, if that makes sense, where like they need to go through some heartbreak and really earn their stripes in the play and like show that they belong and then get back there next year and then go on that deep run. I think with the experience that Vegas has, that the Avs have, that, even the Oilers have with their heartbreak and their deep runs, I think they're all going to kind of edge out knowing what playoff hockey takes in the year of 2024, since they all kind of been in the dance a lot recently.
Yeah. And I think what the Corey Perry signing, I think is too underrated for the Edmonton Oilers, because when they get into the playoffs, Corey Perry is a different animal itself when he's in the playoffs. And I think they're like 7-3 in the last 10, because they had that little skid after they tried to break the record for the most consecutive wins. But I could actually see Edmonton going, like, leaping over Vegas a little bit. They're only 3 points out, and Vegas is still, I think they still have a few injuries. I know Jack Eichel should be back like next month, but who knows how good he's going to be. He's definitely going to be lethargic just because he's had the knee surgery, I think, and something with his back. So I think Edmonton might be a team to watch out for. Maybe in the playoffs, because it seems like they're getting their stuff together on the third and fourth line. So that was kind of like their Achilles heel in the playoffs, because it would just be Drysdale, McDavid. So I think they might be a sneaky team in the playoffs, in the West at least.
Yeah, my thing with Edmonton is they played Dallas the other day. Okay, they had a goal. I think they were leading at one point in time, if I remember correctly, and lost that game in overtime. And then before they played Dallas, but they did go to St. Louis and get beat pretty badly. So yeah, and I don't think it's necessarily the offense, because they still scored, it was like 5 goals, I think, against St. Louis, 4 or 5 goals against St. Louis, and still it has, like Jerry was saying, it has to be the goaltending with Edmonton.
So how about this? So do you think that Marc-Andre Fleury should get traded from Minnesota to Edmonton before the deadline? Because what are they doing in Minnesota that's keeping him there? It looks like he's on his farewell tour, so why not try to bring him to a playoff team and kind of finish it out?
He doesn't need any more cups. He's fine.
Yeah.
Well, I know that as a
Minnesota's
Ranger fan,
only
but
2
still.
points out of the wild card spot in the West. So
the Wild's scrappy, and we saw it today. The Wild's a scrappy team. They're a little further back in the standings, but don't be surprised if they start to make some noise. To your point, though, I do think that would be a move that would very much so be in the best interest of Edmonton. Yeah. Fleury is one of the best goaltenders of the modern era. I would say he's definitely one of the most winningest. But yeah, I mean, down the stretch, I feel like the past couple, playoff pushes, the reason why Edmonton never really gets by is because they're so reliant on Draisaitl and McDavid. You could do that, and you could do that successfully, but without a goaltender to help you on the other end, you're not getting any further past probably the divisional, if not the Western Conference Finals.
I mean, Edmonton is just the West Coast version of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
I think that's very fair. I think that's very fair to say.
You've got that first line. You got McDavid. You got Draisaitl. But after that, I mean, is Warren Fogle still on their team? Warren Fogle and Derek Ryan from Hurricane Legends take leading your third and fourth line. You don't. What you need depth in the playoffs. You're gonna have your superstars show up. You're gonna have your A+ guys show up, because that's what they do in the playoffs. But you need that depth scoring, because every team in the playoffs has that one or two guy.
The unsung hero.
Right. You need a guy that's gonna kind of be that glue guy, that he's gonna be scrappy, may get you a couple points here and there, but he's also not gonna be a liability out there. Right. I feel like a lot of these teams have liabilities up on the ice at times. I mean, you look at Ryan Reeves on the Toronto Maple Leafs. I know it's his first year there.
Stealer.
What are you doing out there? You'd be lucky to be playing on the B side in beer league right now. But I digress. These guys in the NHL.
He literally was like, "Give me 3 years for this much," and they were like, "Okay." because they had no enforcers. I'll put that in quotes. I guess the enforcers are kind of like fading away in this league, but he check stealed hardcore for me.
Toronto needed somebody to protect Matthews and Nylander and whoever else, and Mitch Marner.
I thought Bertuzzi was that too.
Protect.
It's a shame. He was such a good Ranger, and I miss when he was on the team, he was awesome to have. He's a great locker room guy. He really brings the energy up. But to just watch him wither away like that in a market that's, you're a Maple Leaf dude. You might as well be a Yankee. The microscope is on you. The only way it can get any more intense is if you're in Montreal. If this guy's in Montreal, he's playing in the AHL. Hands down, they run him out of town. So it sucks to see. I hope he figures it out. It will, like we're saying, come in handy in the playoff time where it's time to get physical. I mean, he got bodied. I forgot who he got. It might have been
Nashville, right?
Oh, it was Nashville. Was that who it was? Yeah, he got bodied. So, I mean, it's not really looking too good for him if you want to be the big bad enforcer, but I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, and looking at it, I mean, if y'all want to switch to the Eastern Conference, looking at it, I mean, Toronto is sitting in third place in the Atlantic Division. The Atlantic Division this year, by and far, is probably the best division in all of hockey. And, I mean, Toronto is, granted, they're 3 points up with a couple games in hand on Tampa and Detroit, but still, like, you got Auston Matthews on your team. You should be, you've got how much money? Like $50 million tied up in your top four forwards.
Mm-hmm.
You should be performing, but it goes to show that in hockey, you've got to have that money spread out across all four lines. You can't just have it tied up into that one line, because if you get a team that can really tie you down and hem you in your own zone, you're not going to score.
Right.
And you can't play 60 minutes a night. You can't play the same 6 guys 60 minutes a night. That's just not how this game works.
Well, with a team like that too, you should be competing with Boston and Florida, who is 8-9 points ahead of you in the standings right now. Like, you should be right there with them. With the talent that Toronto has on their team, there's no reason they shouldn't be right there, or not above Boston, above Florida. Like, you're looking at a Florida team who has Matthew Tkachuk,
Dobson,
Barkov.
Okay, that's fair.
But
still, you're looking at some of the better, top players in the NHL with Toronto, and they're sitting third place, hanging on to a playoff spot.
And their captain, I think he has had 4 goals in like 2 months. And John Tavares, I think he's as a -8 or 9 in the plus minus. Like he's in a way check stealing or just getting a little bit older. Well, they needed something with him next year if they want to keep Mitch Marner, because Mitch Marner is the odd man out in Toronto.
I think it's definitely age. I don't think he's going through a slight. And I hope, being that he made such a big stink about it going home, and the kid in his pajamas and his Maple Leaf, I mean, listen, I can't sit here and defend it because I hate the Islanders, but if you're gonna make such a big deal about going home and all that stuff, take a team friendly deal to help retain, especially Marner. Marner's his buddy. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they're line mates. So if you want to keep your buddy around and kind of keep him happy or whatever, take the pay cut, dude. You're rich. I know the Islanders paid you for all those 10 years. You can afford it.
So that does Tavares become the odd man out then? Just realistically,
they might.
Toronto, you'd be like, hey, so we're moving on from the older age guy, and we're gonna keep Mitch Marner.
I just don't think they can afford it. They need. At this point, Matthews he's been around for a little bit, but you need some sort of veteran leadership.
Yeah,
you always need that older guy in your locker room to kind of keep everybody grounded. So I think it would be in their best interest to keep him around, but at the same time, he's not going to take a team-friendly deal. All right, see you later.
Yeah.
That's the problem with that you're seeing in Toronto, right? Nobody's taking a team-friendly deal, right? In Boston,
none of them deserve to, except Marner. Maybe I don't think Marner has the argument for money he had once upon a time. But Auston Matthews, give that man a blank check.
Well, yeah, but then you've also got the issue where you're running into a salary cap game, right? These guys are all going for the league, like the league max that you can get, which I believe is 20% of a salary cap. Like, you can't get that for 4 guys. Yeah. You can't have each of these guys making over $13 million a year, especially when the salary cap is still at, I think it's at 87, 88. Like, yeah, it's going to go up in the next couple of years, but right now you can't afford to fill those holes. You can't fix the goaltending. You can't fix the defense. You can't fix those things because you've got so much money tied up in these 4 guys. So somebody's got to take a team-friendly deal, but they've signed all these guys to extensions. I don't know what they're going to do. I think eventually something's going to have to happen, and they're going to have to break somebody up. Somebody's going to have to move on somewhere else because they just can't afford all these guys, and it's probably going to be Marner.
That's business, baby. That's how it goes.
Let's just scratch. As soon as Arizona gets their new arena announced and everything, we already know Auston Matthews is going to bounce from Toronto and go play in Arizona. So
that would be cool. Go back to
you're not wrong. You are not wrong in the slightest. I think it's definitely a possibility.
Gary Bettman's gonna finance that deal for Arizona.
Yeah, he's gonna force it. Hey, he already has his talks. He's like, hey, here's the thing. Like, you guys get your arena stuff figured out. We're gonna find a way to get Auston Matthews to you.
Because I mean, what NHLer would not want to play in Arizona? I mean, they want to.
That's why I don't understand how it doesn't work. Scott, especially with the Scott, they were in Scottsdale, I think, for a hot second. That was their most recent stadium or arena failure. It didn't work out when they had Scottsdale. Scottsdale's an all. I mean, I've never been there, but to my understanding, Scottsdale's the place to be. Like, it's a fun party town. They got the waste management, bachelor parties, all this stuff. It's like Nashville in the desert.
Yeah, it doesn't quite make any sense why they struggle to keep some of the keep any top in it, superstar. You look at Florida, or Florida and Tampa Bay, they're virtually the same thing.
I think I don't know much about Arizona, but I think the taxes play a big part of that.
Yeah, always does. It's always the taxes. That's why nobody stays in California either.
Yeah.
But looking at your guys' favorite division right now in the Metropolitan, the New York Rangers with a win, put themselves at 75 points. Second place, you get the Carolina Hurricanes with 69. Third place, the Philadelphia Flyers with 65, and the New Jersey Devils, who are slowly creeping themselves back up into the standings there.
I'll tell you what, they surprised me in that Stadium Series game. I thought the Flyers were bygone a luck, and the Devils came out guns blazing.
Yeah, I would agree on that. I mean, the Devils. Now that they have Jack Hughes back, they've had. We talked about injuries earlier. The Devils, they're out without Dougie Hamilton. They've been without Jack Hughes. They've been dealing with these injuries all year long. Now they're starting to get healthy. Do I think it's too late for them to maybe make a real run at the division? Yes, but I do think that they could hop into that third spot. And I mean, that's why it's going to be even more important for somebody to win this division, is because you do not want to face the third team in this division, especially if it's New Jersey. I would be more excited about facing Philly than New Jersey at this point.
I didn't realize they were 31st in power play. I saw on Saturday. I was like, oh my god, they're like 13%. So I was like, okay, so if they're out of power play, you pretty much can stop them. But yeah, they're only 5 points out of Philly, and everyone's getting healthy. It's just they don't have a goalie. That's their only problem too. Besides Dougie Hamilton,
they had a goalie. We all know what happened to him.
That's true.
Philadelphia, we're talking, yeah.
I meant New Jersey, but yeah.
Oh yeah, New Jersey does too. What about you brought up Marc-Andre Fleury to Edmonton, but what about Marc-Andre Fleury to New Jersey?
No, we don't need to help them.
Yeah, I don't want to see him again. That was so rough 10 years when he was in Pittsburgh.
For real.
Yeah. Speaking of
that wild card spot in the East, both of them, they're wide open. Anybody's taking. If you look at the standings, like the Islanders aren't too far out of it. The Devils have that chance to get in there.
Washington's still right there.
Washington's there.
Pittsburgh.
The Sabres can make some noise. The Red Wings, it's kind of anyone's game for those last couple spots in a playoff push here. So I wouldn't be surprised. Any team at this point wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. Speaking of Pittsburgh, I know Jerry, you wanted to kind of talk a little bit on Jaromir Jagr's retirement.
Yeah, New York Rangers legend Jaromir Jagr. Congrats to him. Congrats to him on his retirement. Everyone came out wearing the mullets, wearing a Jagr jersey. That was awesome to see. I did see on Twitter, and again, we'll talk about this more in Blue Shirt Banter. There was some discourse going around on whether or not the Rangers should retire Jagr as well. I don't think they should. He was a great Ranger. He was a great captain, but unfortunately, I just don't think that it takes away from what, you can't just retire everybody. You can't. They're not participation trophies. It's an honor. You have to earn it. So leave that for people who deserve it. Not saying he doesn't, but neither here nor there. But it's great. Honestly, in Pittsburgh, long overdue, because I saw something on Instagram yesterday. I forgot the year span, but there was I forgot the years it was, but there was like a 10-year span where 3 players won the Hart Trophy. It was Gretzky, Lemieux, and Jagr, just rinse and repeat, just the 3 of them. And Jagr and Mario, that dynamic duo was just so. I mean, I'm talking out of my ass here. I was barely alive when they were together, but still, I know the stories and everything. I remember prominently him being on that team and just running amok through the NHL. It's just crazy, and the fact that it took him this long to retire that number to me is kind of crazy. I guess honestly, also you never really know with him, because maybe they waited so long because he could have made a comeback at any given moment. And I've been very vocal about this. He should have suited up. They should have signed him to play in that game. There's no reason why they shouldn't have. He's still actively playing in the Czech. I believe he's playing very well in the Czech, and he warmed up with the team, suited up, did a whole thing. He looked great. It's just, let him play. He can still do it, man. He's not going to be who he was, but I believe he still has a little bit left in the tank.
He's got 4 assists in 15 games in the Czech League. And I should have said this on the Blues talk yesterday, but maybe the Blues, Jaromir Jagr, put another team on his belt.
We have too many guys in the tank right now with Dalibor Dvorsky and Jimmy Snuggerud and stuff like that. The chances of them guys coming up before Doug Armstrong would pull some kind of move like that, that would happen before those guys coming up would happen before he would sign Jaromir Jagr. Unfortunately, it'd be fun, but it'd be like Wayne Gretzky all over again.
Yeah.
I want to take a stab at Jagr too. I mean, Jagr, we joke about how many teams he played for. Guy played almost 3 decades in the league. It seemed like, right? And I mean, talking about retiring his number in New York, no, he is a Penguin.
Yeah.
When I think Jagr, I think Pittsburgh.
I'd agree with that.
Occasionally, I'll think, okay, later in his later days, maybe a little bit with Florida, but early on, prime Jagr, that's Pittsburgh.
Hands down. So, he did his best work as a Penguin. He's also a Capital. He was a pretty good Capital too, I think, if I remember correctly. But
I see that's where I don't remember ever him playing for Washington.
Yeah, it was before the Rangers. I think he did 2
right before the Rangers,
2 or 3 years. Well, that was the old Capitals with the
I believe he was there for Ovechkin's rookie season. I could be wrong about that, but I do believe he played with Ovechkin as a rookie.
Yeah. And also, to a Jagr being retired by the Rangers, that would be the equivalent of Michael Jordan's number being retired by the Heat, which is happening. Yeah. This is weird. It wouldn't make any sense.
No, he was the captain. He scored. He had his 600 points as a Ranger. It's not unwarranted. It just if they would have won a cup, different story. It's not it's True. Not. It's a point worth talking about, but it's just not, in my opinion. I don't think it deserves to happen because again, it washes away the honor that it is and the hard work and stuff. The next guy we're going to see get retired is Chris Kreider, who played his entire career as a Ranger so far, and is one of the most leading goal scorers. Whatever. Hank was the last one we put in the rafters. It's just you guys know what it takes to raise a banner. You can't just give them away, and if you do, it's kind of bullshit.
Well, that's like with what happened in St. Louis. You talk about Jagr in New York, and I know he probably did a lot more than Gretzky did in St. Louis. But that'd be like St. Louis retiring Wayne Gretzky's number.
Well, in my opinion, I think 99 should be like 42 in baseball and should be in the rafters in every arena. Like nobody in their right mind's ever going to wear that number. Just throw it up there. Can't hurt.
That would be fair. I wouldn't, I don't think too many people would complain about that. Like that would probably be the most honest thing to do across the league. If you're going to do something like that, you call him the great one anyways.
Yeah,
for real.
Why not retire the number across the league?
Just to put it into perspective for anybody that wants Jágr's number retired for the Rangers, Jágr played 806 games with the Penguins. The next most total games played was 277 with the Rangers. So, just looking at this guy's career, 24 years in the league, 1,700 games played, 766 goals, over 1,100 assists.
And I've been vocal about this on Blue Shirts Banter. I am a staunch believer that if he never left to go to the KHL when he left the Rangers, he would have beaten Gretzky's goal record. Staunch believer. And you can't tell me otherwise. I think he was definitely
I would agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't say. It definitely is a possibility. But you talk about like some of the faces of the league, and I put this poll out earlier tonight. I thought it was a good one. I was sitting there and I was like, you know what? Who is the face of the NHL? So I put out that poll and whatnot. You talk about some of the big names. You talk about Jágr. You talk about Ovechkin, Crosby, Lemieux. Who's the face of the NHL right now? Is it Connor McDavid?
Yes.
Is it Auston Matthews? Is it changing a little bit to more towards like a Matthew Tkachuk type of guy?
No shot at Matthew Tkachuk.
Had to throw his name in there just for the heck of it.
I'm surprised he didn't throw Bedard. I'm surprised he didn't put Bedard on there. Bedard's the only one I think that has another argument, but I think the answer is bar none Connor McDavid. I think people look at, if you look at McDavid versus Matthews, I think it's a big time Gretzky versus Lemieux type deal where like McDavid's the guy, but then you got Matthews who's just fun to watch. He's got a creepy little mustache and he's bald and he thinks he looks good. And people say I look like him. He looks like me. That's a whole thing. That's a whole other thing. But it's McDavid, bar none.
Yeah. So the poll only ended up with 21 votes. The results are final, but it was Connor McDavid with 62% of those 21 votes. So over half were for Connor McDavid. For Connor McDavid, yes.
I'll say that it should be Connor McDavid. I think that the NHL pushes Auston Matthews a lot just because of his association with Bieber and being in Toronto.
Yeah, he's fun.
He's fun. Do I think that he's the face of the league or should be the face of the league? No, I don't at all. But at the same time, I think that I've talked a lot about the NHL and how they do their marketing. And I just, if you were to walk down the street and ask 10 random people, show them a picture of Auston Matthews, who is this guy? They'd say that's Pablo Escobar. Like, what's going on?
Thanks, Larry.
So, that's the problem the NHL has is they're not good enough at marketing their sport, and I think they need to figure out the space of the NHL and really put him everywhere. He needs to be on every ESPN, everywhere.
To counter you there, see, what pissed me off in the beginning of this year was that Bedard came in and the NHL was doing everything they possibly could to throw Bedard in everybody's faces everywhere. Yeah, but here's the thing. Everybody complained about it. Everyone said, shut up, we get the point, blah, 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 whatever. Like, we're done with this. We're over it. We hate him already. We don't want to hear it. Don't complain about that and the marketing and what the NHL is doing if you're going to sit here and then say, NHL, hey, shut up. Don't be saying, like, leave it alone. Like, you got to pick a lane here. It's got to be one or the other. You can't say, we want you to market the face of the league. We want you to be out there. We want you to be present. And then when they do that, complain that they're doing that. That's what pissed me off.
I saw an interesting argument about the face of the league and about the marketing of the NHL. I think the biggest issue is you've got so many fans that are siloed into their team.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you ask a Hurricanes fan who they think the face of the league should be, they're going to tell you McDavid. Yeah, Rod the Bod. They're going to say McDavid, Matthews, Pasternak, like these guys, but they want to see their guy take more of a role, right? Mm-hmm. Sebastian Aho, Andrei Svechnikov, hell, even Seth Jarvis. If you don't know who Seth Jarvis is right now, go watch him. Go watch his interviews. He's a blast. He's just this 22-year-old, 23-year-old kid that just looks like he's hopped up on Monster Energy drinks.
Who's the goalie that came in and just kind of like threw everybody who's just this is my thing now. This is my league. I'm the best goaltender in the league. Like, who, I don't remember what his name was. He didn't play very long. Who?
I'm kidding.
It's not Bennington. It's not okay. Easy now. He got fined $5,000 for his typical goal tap that turned into a high stick against Nashville the other day.
I saw that.
So, yeah.
I saw that.
He taps the goal. He taps the goalpost after every time the Blues move out of the defensive zone. The dude cut up right next to the net, caught his stick in the jaw, got a high stick.
I saw something about that. I saw some people were saying it was a butt in. I didn't think it was a butt in. I didn't think much of it.
But he was the guy. He did the poke. He did poke check.
I think of Kochetkov.
Yeah,
poke checking Brady Tkachuk.
Yeah, that's it.
That dude. I mean, the guys tried to fight Matthew Tkachuk, Brad Marchand, and Brady Tkachuk at this point. I mean, he's in his third season in the NHL, and he's going to be the next Russian kind of goalie that's just kind of weird.
The head case, just the next Brizgalov.
That's him, but
Jesus,
he's fun. He tries to fight. He had a goalie fight last year in the AHL. He had a goalie goal last year in the AHL. He scored a goal and then got kicked out of the game for fighting 30 seconds later. So he's just a fun guy. Pyotr Kochetkov doesn't know a lick of English other than curse words. So we love him down here in Carolina.
To your point about the silentness, though, I kind of like that. I think it's kind of endearing for the league, though, because everyone is in their own little clan and they stick together. It's not like the NFL where, okay, football's on Sunday. I'm going to go to my buddy's house. We're going to watch Red Zone for 8 hours and just watch every single team, every single game, know everything that's going on, be in touch with fantasy. The NBA is kind of like that too, where I feel like people view it more as a whole, if that makes sense, where it's just what's going on with the superstars, who's doing what. In the NHL, I'm a Rangers fan. I'm watching Ranger games. I'm paying attention to everyone that I need to pay attention to as far as standings go, but I don't really care about everything else because I'm just in my bubble. And it's a good thing and it's a bad thing. You kind of see it also in baseball a little bit, but also I feel like with baseball, you're watching everything you possibly can because nothing else is on during the summer. But it sucks to a fault, but I almost kind of prefer it that way because I'll go to war with any fan base on Twitter that I have to stand up to. I don't care who it is. I'll get right in the mud. It doesn't bother me. And that's the beauty of the game. We're allowed to fight on the ice and off the ice in the trenches on Twitter where it really counts.
Plus, they need to find a rival for Connor Bedard because back then with us, it was Sidney Crosby and Ovechkin. It was like that kind of rivalry. So there's nothing really for Bedard. Even with McDavid, they don't posterize him. He's like the Mike Trout of the baseball world,
David,
NHL world. Yeah, he's so good, but no one will watch him because who's going to stay up till 10 o'clock and watch an Edmonton Oiler game? So they need to do something better with McDavid with marketing wise, because no one will know about unless it's us who actually know hockey. And then with Auston Matthews, just because it's Toronto, the mustache, and he was in that show on Amazon, All for Nothing, with the Maple Leafs a few years ago. So that's the reason why, but. If you're going to do Connor Bedard, you got to find a rival for him.
But the thing is, Bedard's coming in at an awkward time where there's no changing out of the guard. If you look at McDavid and you look at Matthews, both of them came in where they're not fizzling out by any means, except for maybe Ovechkin, but I think he's just having a down year. Crosby's still very much being Sidney Crosby, playing as well as he ever did, but they're older now. And by the time McDavid and Matthews came into the league, the two of them, Crosby and Ovechkin, both had nearly 20 years in the league under their belt, where it's time, okay, our old superstars that we were throwing in everyone's faces, they're aging. Their careers are almost coming to an end. It is what it is. Let's get new faces. And now Matthews and McDavid are filling that void from Crosby and Ovechkin, whereas Bedard's coming in with no one near his level of talent in that draft class and beyond, looking at next year too, because I don't think there's no talk for another second coming of Jesus in that draft class, but like you were saying, he needs a yin to the yang, and unfortunately that yin and yang duo is already with Matthews and McDavid in the East and West Conference. There's no room for a third right now. I think we need to give Bedard a couple of years, and then he'll get that yang, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I think that's valid. I didn't think of it. I honestly haven't thought of it that way. But what I was going to chime back to was the whole McDavid playing in Edmonton, and that's not necessarily a downfall of him playing in Edmonton. But if he was playing in New York, or if he was playing in, in a bigger, if he was playing in LA, how much more of a difference would that make if he was playing for a team like Boston or like Montreal or
I don't think
like
LA wouldn't matter if he was on an original 6 team. It'd be a much bigger deal. But did you guys see? This is a little off the rails, but did you ever see the argument of somebody trying to make for the reason that he's not being marketed, and they're just bitching and moaning about how Edmonton plays at 10 p.m. and like, well, maybe you should just make Oiler games at 7 o'clock Eastern time. It's like, no, you idiot. This is 7 o'clock Canada, like Edmonton time. Like, we're not going to play Oiler games at 4 o'clock in the afternoon just so all you a-holes on the East Coast who think the world revolves around them, which it does, watch this guy in prime time. It's not our fault. If you want to watch him, stay up. It's not his fault.
Yeah.
I mean, they could do a King's Ransom too.
Yeah.
They could do it again. They did it once.
But even if he goes to the Kings, it's not going to matter because he's still going to be playing at 10 o'clock. It doesn't make a difference.
But it makes more sense to have LA playing at 6 o'clock in the afternoon, or 4 o'clock in the afternoon than Edmonton.
Because no one would show up still, so it wouldn't matter.
San Jose.
San Jose. Just put everybody in Arizona. That's fine. Just put everybody in Arizona.
Yeah. Hey, they don't know what time zone they're in.
With a good time.
Time zones aren't a thing there.
That's true. They don't even have daylight savings time, if I'm correct.
Nah. And maybe Wayne Gretzky will get back his ownership share of the Coyotes if McDavid goes there.
I don't know, but I mean, realistically, you look at it. You got Connor McDavid, Auston Matthews, obviously Connor Bedard. I didn't even think about David Pastrnak.
Neither did I.
Who could easily be that guy too, except for that he plays for Boston. Outside of that, he could easily be. He could be that guy.
And I do very much think that Sidney Crosby and Alexander Ovechkin, as much as I hate them, I do think that they are still seen as two of the faces of the league.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
They are still used in almost every marketing video that the league puts out. Like they're still very much part of the face of the league. But as far as going forward, I do think, I mean, you're starting to see more Marchand. You're starting to see more Matthews, more McDavid. You're starting to see a lot of Matthew Tkachuk. I just don't think he'll ever be the face of the league. I don't think the league would want him to be the face, just the way he plays. I think they want to go more towards skill rather than the rough, tough, and
right.
kind of the shit talk that Matthew Tkachuk brings, right? Like, I don't know. I would say it's going to be close. If McDavid ever gets out of Edmonton, though, I think it's a no-brainer. He just doesn't have the personality that is that superstar. He doesn't. He's got that old school hockey personality, whereas Auston Matthews is that. He's got that vibe of he could just be any other celebrity.
Yeah, it's that hip young guy who the NHL was hoping that was going to hit the younger generation more than he probably did. Where McDavid is that I'm here to play hockey, but I just happen to be really, really good at it. He's not that in your face, I'm gonna be hanging out with Justin Bieber type of guy. So that makes sense too. So it's hard to tell, but according to the Twitter world, Connor McDavid, Twitter world, God, X world.
You can say
still
Twitter.
Still
Yeah,
Twitter.
you can say
Okay,
Twitter.
that's fine then. I'm still gonna call it Twitter. According to the Twitter world, Connor McDavid is the face of the NHL.
Twitter never lies.
Twitter never lies. You guys got any topics for us before? I know I was going to talk about the Coyote situation. Really isn't that much new. I guess there's not really any new details about it besides the owner.
Move the team to Puerto Rico.
Move the team. It's all about the NHL's movement to the South. No,
I think they're going to Utah.
You think so?
I could see that.
I don't think that's out of the possibility. Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, Utah wants a team. Utah Jazz wants a team. Just so happens that the Coyotes still can't get anything done.
Yeah.
Seems like a match made in heaven. Plus, the NHL wanting to add a team again in Atlanta. I don't know why they're going to try it again, but apparently they're going to try it again.
New arena, new fun. Why not?
I don't know, man. Third time's
It gives Carolina a little rival.
Our rival is still Washington. Washington as Pittsburgh. I mean, Carolina and New Jersey and Carolina and New York, the Rangers, the last couple of years have been hot. I mean, I hate the Rangers, but I also hate the Bruins, and I hate the Canadians. I hate anybody in the East Coast. So,
thank God.
I just hate the Bruins because it's their fans. It's not so much the players. It's their fans are just so arrogant, and it's like
I like the Bruins. I respect the Bruins as a franchise. I like going to war with them. I have nothing but the utmost respect for the Bruins. I think it's an original six thing.
I can't say anything. So
the worst fans to me are Devils fans.
I agree.
Oh yeah,
Devils fans are tough.
Oh,
Islander fans are coming out of the woodwork after that loss yesterday. They're bent out of shape on Twitter. It's all I'm seeing. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. But I agree. Devils fans are delusional, and they love to bring up the Rangers. They just chase our coattails and just want to be us so bad, and they'll never take it. They'll never miss a chance to try to chirp us, and we'll just come back and be like, dude, 10 people are at your game right now. Like whatever Jack Hughes says, like people pay money to see me. Yeah, all 500 people who are in the arena right now paid $10 to come to your game, but take a seat, relax. And I can't say much. I don't really have much of a leg to stand on here because they did knock us out in 7, and that sucked. But their fans, dude, they're delusional. I'm glad you guys made quick work of them after they knocked us out of that playoffs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Their fans are delusional. I mean, look, Rangers fans, I don't have any problem with Rangers fans as far as thinking that they don't know hockey. I see some of them. I see some of the takes at times, and I'm like talking about Lafreniere and so I remember 2 years ago when y'all took us out, and I think it was 7.
Good series. Good series.
I mean, I was at Game 6 of that series.
Dang.
And it was insane. But I was at Game 7 against the Bruins that year too. When we knocked out the Bruins, that was fun. But no, I mean, I don't have a problem with them. It's just there's so many fans that are they discredit because Carolina's seen as a small market, right? So many people most people don't watch Carolina Hurricanes games because they're not on TV, right? And they don't know about some of these guys. They don't know that Sebastian Aho is a point per game scorer. They don't know Svechnikov is a point per game scorer when he's healthy. They don't know about Seth Jarvis or Martin Necas. But they know everything about Adam Fox and Mika Zibanejad and Alex Lafreniere. Like that's my problem is you don't know who you're talking about half the time. And I'm not saying y'all. I'm saying
Yeah.
Fans
No,
I've dealt with
I know what you're saying. It
go
goes
after
back to the
those fans,
silos.
too. Yeah.
Back to the silos. Yeah.
I will say this, though. Nobody hates the New York Rangers more than New York Rangers fans. Myself
I am
included.
probably the most pessimistic Carolina Hurricanes fan on
Well,
social media.
After the last two games for the Blues right now, it's rough. It's rough with the Blues fans itself. Not big fans of Torrey Krug, not big fans of your former guy Buchnevich right now.
Don't blame you.
Boy,
Don't blame you.
he is getting reamed.
What about
in the
Justin
Blues
Falk?
fan
Is he
community
hurt?
right now?
I think Justin Falk is hurt. I haven't seen
Justin
him.
Falk's
think
still
he's
hurt.
hurt.
Yeah, he's out. He's out. We don't know. They're still saying there's no timetable on his return either, which sucks. Yeah,
Used to love him, then I hated him.
it's awful. That is the one thing. As Josh said, it's rough being a Blues fan right now. But a lot of it has to come with where they're at. They're in a spot, at least for me, where I didn't think they were going to be at this year. They're still technically I think they're still in a playoff spot, but
Yeah, they are.
realistically, you look at the beginning of the season. Nobody thought this Blues team in particular would be, anywhere at or above 500. Thought we were going to be below, towards the bottom of the division with Arizona in Chicago, but they've somehow figured things out and whatnot. But again, it's the silo thing, like you said.
Yeah.
I like that term. I like that idea of it. It makes sense. 100% makes sense. So, anything else before I head over to the NHL trivia question of the night?
No, I'm ready. Hit me.
All righty. You ready for this? All right, here we go. This is going to be a hard one.
Oh boy.
What is the longest unbeaten streak recorded by an NHL team? This happened in 1979, from
Jesus.
October 14th, 1979 to January 6th, 1980. We're going old school.
I
would
thought
be
it was
Islanders,
18
would it be?
games. I don't remember who the team is, though.
It's got to be the Canadians or something.
That makes sense.
They were pretty dominant in the 70s.
An unbeaten streak record, so without a defeat, from October 14th, 1979
I was
to
like, me and Josh
January
have the same answer.
1980. It says the
It
Canadians.
could be. Is it the Canadians?
It's not the Canadians.
Oh,
The
Is it-
Islanders.
I got two guesses. Is it the
Not the
Flyers?
Islanders.
Is it the Flyers?
It is the Philadelphia Flyers.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
dang. What was their
the Broad
streak?
Street Bullies.
Broad Street Bullies. They went 35 games without a defeat. Nobody else come close. It was 25 victories and 10 draws during the streak.
I thought it was 18.
Oh, no. I could have swore it would have been Montreal because they were really dominant back in the 70s, 80s.
Maybe I was thinking a straight winning streak.
Straight
During
winning
that
streak.
time.
Yeah.
But
I'm
Yeah,
2 for
for
2,
sure.
baby.
Yeah.
I'm 2 for 2 with hints. I will say
it
that
is.
I'm not 2 for 2 out of the gate, but I'm 2 for 2 with
Two
hints.
for two. You can count it.
I will say that, like I said on Twitter, that Joel Quenneville one really made me think because I was trying to think who got fired and then brought him to the quarterfinals. I really thought the Kings for some reason. I don't know why I thought that.
Yeah.
what was the question? Sorry, I wasn't on it.
Which one?
The question was who lost to the San Jose Sharks in the quarterfinals after going, what was it?
So it was a guess a team, and it was I don't think I can pull it up really quick.
Is
but
that Pete DeBoer?
No, it was. This is hold on, let me grab it really quick. Dun, dun. I'll play it for you if I can find it.
This team was 39-30-11 with 91 points. They lost to the quarterfinals to the Sharks, and they had 2 head coaches during the season.
Yeah.
Quarterfinal loss to the San Jose Sharks. 2 head coaches during the season, with one of the top goal scorers being number 7 with 33 goals, 38 assists. The goaltender with 31 and 25 and 8 with a 2.24 goals against average. 2 of the better defensemen in the National Hockey League at the time, with one of them, number 44, and 14 goals, 40 assists in that season. Let us know if you think you know which NHL team this is. back from like 2000, early 2000s. We'll just say early 2000s. Leave it in the comments below. Let us know what you think, who this NHL team is.
Gotcha. Okay.
Somebody got it right away.
I was thinking
right away.
At the first part of the question, team that had a coach from another team that they beat in the quarterfinals. I was thinking, wasn't it Pete DeBoer who went from San Jose to Vegas, or the other way around a couple years ago? So okay,
yeah,
we can move on.
I don't have anything else, any other topics besides that. But it was the 2003-2004 St. Louis Blues with Kachuk, Mellenby, Al McInnes, Chris Pronger, Chris Osgood, went 39, 30, and 11 in the regular season. Fired Joe Quenneville with 21 games left in the regular season or something like that.
Yeah.
And Mike Kitchen took over for the team. Ended up going to the quarterfinals and losing to San Jose 4-1. It was a series in that one.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was just something new, something fun today to add a little bit of excitement throughout throughout Monday today.
The Blues just need to fire their coach every year. Then I guess
we already did that this year.
Hey, Brant Bannister got him the Blues to like 5th in power play, right?
Yeah. They're getting better with it. We'll put it that way. Getting better. Our defense still lets Bennington hang out to dry though. And you saw it.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, you saw it today. If you watched the game against Toronto, you saw Bennington get kind of left out to dry by some not so great power play movements between the wonderful Pavel Buchnevich and the other wonderful Eastern Conference guy, Torrey Krug. So it was a rough one today. It was a rough one. It was a game they could have won. They should have won. And they lost like 5-2, 4-2.
4-2, yeah.
Not great. Well, if you guys don't have anything else, we'll get out of here.
Sounds good.
Nothing else, isn't that? All
Let's
right.
go Canes.
Let's go Canes. God, I thought you said Kings for a second. I'm like, wait a minute, what? No. All righty. Anyways, for myself, Brandon, Aaron, Jerry, and Jared tonight, we will we'll see you next week. Go Blues, and yeah, that's it. See ya.
See ya.
Right.